Yeah, yeah. People will steal from their mother. People will rob their own brother. People can't even walk the streets because they'll never know in the world they're gonna meet. For that need, great, almighty dollar. Got money. People will lie, lies they will cheat. People don't care who they hurt or be. A woman will sell her precious body for a small piece of paper. It carries a lot of weight. For that great, almighty dollar. Talking about I know that money do the road evil, do funny things to some people. Give me a nickel, brother, can you spare that? Money can drive some people out of their mind. I got to have it, I really need it. How many things have I heard you say? Don't let money rule you. How many things have I heard you say? Don't let money fool you. No. Yeah. People don't let money fool. Don't let money change you. All my time, I keep on telling you, people don't let money fool. Don't let money change you. All my time, yeah. Just keep on changing.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to Founder Fridays. It's a pleasure to have you guys on. I'm super excited. We already have 27 people on today, so that is amazing because our first kickoff event, we hit about mid-30s max toward the end, so we're already starting off strong. I love it. I know it's super nice outside today, so we will not keep you guys long, but happy Founder Fridays and welcome to Secure the Bag. If you guys don't know, we are Venture for Them. We're a student-led accelerator that pretty much helps to connect early-stage entrepreneurs to mentorship, capital, and community. And what we did was we established Founder Fridays as a platform to pretty much discuss key topics in business building, like branding, fundraising. Next month, of course, is Mental Health Awareness Month. So that'll be centered around, how do I navigate mental health and burnout and things of that nature as an entrepreneur. So a lot of key topics, especially for, early stage entrepreneurs and just anyone in general, honestly, who has a business or may want to establish some type of business or startup. And this is really important for us because a lot of the times, these topics are only discussed in very niche spaces, right? Like maybe workshops you have to pay for or, Twitter spaces, but areas that might not necessarily always reach the masses of our community. It's not necessarily a topic in a barber shop or your nail salon, but are very, very important topics. And just so through this all, we really just want to emphasize the importance of, ownership and investing in each other's ideas, especially within our communities. That's super critical. And that's a mission of ours here at Venture for Them. So given that, just a little background of us and, just what Founder Fridays represents, I want to introduce to you guys our cohort, our inaugural cohort. Phenomenal group, super excited to introduce you guys to them. So I know some of them are out of town and might not be able to make it, but if you are online, please hop in and let us know what you're working on and maybe give us one big achievement that you've accomplished since our last Founder Fridays session. Feel free to hop in, don't be shy.
You want me to hop in?
Hey, Aaron.
Hi,
Yes.
Deontay. How is everyone? Thank you so much for organizing another Founder Fridays. And so I have been busy on the fundraising grind, just jumped in this past March and have set up a number of meetings. And so Keontae, that is probably my biggest, jump since the last time we met, because I think I was just making my list.
Awesome. They're making some great traction. And tell us a little more about Child Nexus, and I'll drop
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, so Child Nexus is an educational mental health marketplace that connects parents whose kids are struggling with learning or mental health challenges with professionals who can help them thrive. And the professional community is interdisciplinary, so they can find different types of youth service providers on one platform.
Awesome. She's doing some amazing things with Child Nexus. And I also dropped the rest of our cohort in our chat, guys, if you'd like to take a look at their corporations as well. They're doing some amazing things. Definitely check them out. I know what each of them is doing can certainly resonate with you, whether it's through ride sharing, ed tech, fintech, health tech. So definitely check it out. But given that, if we also have any of our MVP mentors on, let's definitely show them some love. They've been doing some amazing things, supporting our fellows throughout the cohort. So super excited. We just introduced our cohort to their mentors about 2 weeks ago. So definitely excited for the relationships that they're building. And so given that, of course, we got to kick it off with a quick icebreaker. Last icebreaker got super intense. It was the basis of our event, of course, was on building your brand. And it got heated. We kicked it off with Jay-Z, what's the best Jay-Z album? Then we went into Nas versus Jay-Z, and it got crazy. So, we like to have a discussion, just a quick icebreaker to get everybody engaged, and also just to, continue to immerse ourselves within the culture of, everything we're interested in surrounding, startup, VC, accelerators, everything. So given this, here's our icebreaker today. I know you've probably seen loads of Twitter discussions on people who passionately feel which one they pick around questions like these, So would you rather get $1 million right now or $1,000 every week for the rest of your life? Talk to me. Here's your chance to, just put it out there. Tell us how you feel. Feel free to.
Is it going to be text, Keontae?
Oh, good question. Yeah, good question. Yes, it got to be text.
Right.
Good question.
Is it transferable?
Transferable in what way? Like to crypto?
Can I give it to my sister if I don't live past a certain date?
You are an honest person.
Oh,
that's nice. You're giving it away. Yeah, sure. You can give it away. Give it to me though. If you're giving it away, I gotta get like 10%. All right. Yeah, we see some 1 millions right now. Okay. Because I've been seeing a lot of discussion on Twitter and people saying, oh, in the long run, my thing is you never know, tomorrow might not be promised. I want to make sure my family's all right and we can start building those investments. But some good stuff here. Don't sleep on the compound interest. Yeah, Haley already dropping gems for us. Haven't even gotten started. All right, cool. Some good engagement. We got some awesome people on today, man. Inflation be killing you, right, Matt? That is fact. You definitely got to pay off these student loans. Cool, guys. That just a quick icebreaker to get everybody engaged. Speak your piece. And so given that, we are going to go straight into introducing our guest speakers. We have Matt Conwell II from Rare Breed Ventures. We have Haley Medved Kendrick from Bronze Valley Accelerator, and we have Precious Drew from the Northwestern Mutual Black Founder Accelerator. Some amazing guest speakers today, game changers, best in the industry. Love them. They got some gems for you guys, and I'm super excited for it. So given that, let me stop sharing my screen and we can get ready to introduce our first guest speaker for today, who will be Matt, of course, Matt Conwell II. And so as a quick intro, McKeever Matt Conwell II is a Baltimore native and attended Morgan State University, majoring in computer science. He went on to become a government contractor doing software development in multiple computer languages and working for several companies, including Northrop Grumman and Booz Allen Hamilton. And I actually work for both, so they are phenomenal companies. In October of 2009, Matt co-founded his first tech startup, given to, and then his next venture, Redberry. Mac has been a guest on Huffington Post Live several times, and his companies have been featured in many media outlets such as USA Today, Washington Post, BET, CNN Headline News, and Black Enterprise. I'm gonna definitely need your autograph. Today, he stands as the founder and managing partner of Rare Breed Ventures, a phenomenal pre-seed fund that invests in exceptional founders, primarily outside of large tech ecosystems. Let's definitely show some love for Matt Conwell as he brings some gems for you guys today. Let's get it.
I'll take the virtual class. What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having a good day. Software engineer turned founder, sold my first company to a division of American Express, but never was able to raise any money. It wasn't until at the point where our company was at a point to raise money 4.5 years later that we just decided to sell it, right? My second company didn't work out. Worked for the investment arm in the state of Maryland for 4 years, started doing seed investments for the state, and ended up launching a pre-seed fund here in Maryland called the Builder Fund, which is the first and only state-backed pre-seed fund for women and minorities in the country. I did that back in 2017. And last year, in 2020, launched Rare Breed. So happy to be here, happy to answer and talk through any and everything. You're gonna get nothing but real talk from me. So if it comes off a little harsh, it's just because I want to be real with you, because like when I was raising money, everybody's being too nice. Ain't nobody want to tell me the truth. And so, when it comes to me, that's all you're gonna get. Am I supposed to just start rambling, or am I taking questions?
My bad. Yep. Nah, you can go straight in, Mac. Tell us a little more about how Rare Breed came to be. Also, maybe just tell us a bit about, just maybe some red flags you look for when going through investments, maybe some green flags too, especially just having, early stage startups on board, or maybe even just people who haven't even begun a startup, but kind of just want to know the ins and outs of maybe just VC in general and, all that good stuff.
I'll talk a little bit about Rare Breed and how it came to be, and I'll talk about a little bit about what we look for in companies. Please make this conversational. So like, if you got a question, put it in the chat. If you want to raise your hand and like talk to me, raise your hand and like come off mic and, say hi and ask a question, right? Let's ask me and like legitimately ask me anything. Like there's nothing there's no place I will go for this, right? Because I'm here for you founders. So for Rare Breed, I was working for the state. I started this pre-seed fund specifically for underrepresented founders. Originally, the first year was a pilot year only for Black founders. Like that's how I got started. And I found myself in a position where I was meeting amazing founders all over the country and even in Maryland, and I still couldn't get them funded, right? And I got to a point where I was like, yo, if I'm going to do this, I need to be at a place where nobody can tell me no again. Like if I meet a founder and I think that founder's dope and I want to make the investment, then that's what I'm gonna do, right? Like I can't have nobody tell me no again. And the reason is, when I was working for the state, I met this woman, her name's Shauna Stepp Jones, and she tells me she wants to create this amazing company, which she wanted to create a tumble dryer that would dry a wig or hair extension in 15 minutes with zero heat. It's like one of the dopest ideas I'd ever heard. One of the most original ideas I'd ever heard. That's something that's not common in venture. And I wanted to help her. I wanted to back her. I wanted to invest in her. And nobody cared. Like even the organization I worked for, they were like, she's too early. She has a product. She has a prototype. We don't understand the market. Now, everybody on this call, I'm pretty sure you understand when I say a dryer for wig or hair extensions, everybody's eyes light up like, yo, that's money right there. Nah, nobody was getting it. And so after watching her for 3 years get nothing but no's, she decided to become a surrogate mother to raise the money to start building her prototype. Like I watched this woman like sell her body to get money to start, chasing her dream. And I thought that was patently ridiculous. And so I was like, yo, I never want to see something like that happen again. And so that's where the idea of Rare Breed comes from, right? When the way I started Rare Breed though, like, I'm a founder at heart. So, it wasn't like I was going to go somewhere else and make that happen. It's like, yo, I'm gonna just have to do that on my own. But, I ain't rich. I'm not independently wealthy, at least not yet. And when you go to start a fund, you kind of need like 150, 250, maybe more in the bank. Like if you ain't got that, like you're not really ready for this. So I ended up raising my fund through Twitter because I ain't have that. I didn't know how to raise a fund. I didn't have the network of LPs who could write me, $100,000, $500,000 checks. And so Twitter became my pathway. And all Twitter did was gave me a platform to share what I knew about venture. And it got me a following. And I used that following to get meetings with other folks who knew more about the space, about raising, capital for a fund, which led to this, thing that people like to ask me about, which was from the middle of June 2020 to September 2020, I had 1,128 meetings, all from people I met off of Twitter, right? And that got me to, one, grow my network, learn a ton, and soft circle my first 3 million. Now, that was wild, right? That's not something I ever want to do again, but it was the only way I knew how to get started, right? And when coming back to you founders, like, that's the hard part. This is the part people don't talk enough about, right? Like, when you think about jet planes, right? When jet planes, super cool innovation, they use all this jet fuel, right? But here's the thing about a jet plane. A jet plane uses 70% of its fuel to take off. Once it's in the air, it's cruising. But it uses 70% of its fuel to take off. That's what it's like for a company. You're going to put in crazy amount of works up front. And ain't that easy things that you be seeing on TechCrunch. Like, I want y'all to get that stuff out your head right now. I meet founders all the time, like, yo, Matt, why is raising money so hard? I be seeing, this white guy who just graduated from Stanford get like $5 million. I'm building the same kind of company. I already got traction. Y'all keep talking about, I done way more than them. How come he getting money and everybody telling me I'm too early? There's a simple answer for that. You comparing the wrong things. That person who got money pre-product or pre-revenue 9 times out of 10 did not get the money because of their business. It had absolutely nothing to do with their business. Actually, it had everything to do with their network. 90% of fundraising is your network. They just happen to know people who had the money who was willing, like, I can give you 100K. You know somebody like that? I didn't. I know most of y'all probably don't either, right? And so then, if it ain't about that, and we just talk about business, and I put both of y'all business side by side, I'm investing in neither one of y'all. Because neither one of y'all ready for funding. Keep it 100. And you're like, okay, Matt, so like, if it's just about the business, it ain't about, and I ain't got the network, then what I gotta do? Well, you gotta get that magical number, that magical, phrase we like to throw around all the time, which is traction. Okay, now you're gonna roll your eyes like, yo, all right, so what does traction even mean? Everybody keeps telling me it's traction, but can't nobody give me a number. Like, what do you want from me? You want 1,000 customers? You want 5,000 in monthly revenue? You want 20? Like, give me a bar to hit so I know where to go, right? Like, I have founders tell me that all the time. And I got a simple answer for you. I can give you the exact number you need in traction to get funded, all right? Everybody ready? Everybody cool? Y'all got this? I'm gonna need y'all to write this down. What you need to be doing for traction is more. And it's always more. And it's simple, right? Why, like, you like, yo, Mac, why are you playing with my feelings right now? Like, I thought I was really about to write down the number and you was gonna give me the magical answer. You're gonna tell me more. Like, stop playing with my feelings. I got you, and I'm sorry. I don't mean to be playing with your feelings, but here's the issue, right? When you pitch to me as an investor, you're not pitching against all the other companies in your industry. You're pitching against all the companies in your industry, plus all the companies I'm gonna see over a given period of time, right? So let's give an example. I'm gonna say, yo, if you can get to 20,000 in monthly recurring revenue, which is actually really difficult to do, but if you can get to 20,000 in monthly recurring revenue, or that's about 140,000 annual revenue, we had a good place to talk. And then you come back to me and you be like, yo, Matt, I'm at 35,000 monthly recurring revenue. Where's my check? Well, slow down a bit. Let's go through some things. Over, let's call it a 45-day period, a month and a half, 6-week period. I'm going to see anywhere in the neighborhood of 200 to 400 companies. Of that, I'm going to meet with maybe 50 of them. Of the 50 I meet with, I'm gonna have a follow-on meeting with, let's call it 20 to 15. And of those 20 to 15 I meet with, I'm gonna invest in 0 to 5. That's what it is. So if you come to me and you telling me you're doing 35,000 monthly recurring revenue, I'm like, yo, you flew past that 20,000 mark. But last week I met a company that's doing 60. Now we just looking at each other. You like, what that got to do with me? I hit that number. Well, I got to figure out what's the best company. Now, the fact that I met a company last week that's doing 60,000 versus your company's doing 45, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm investing in that company over yours. What it means is now I got to go through all the nuance of a company, right? Now, okay, who's got a bigger market, right? This is one of the reasons why people like fintech. Fintech, most markets in fintech is $1 trillion business. You know, if you telling me you got a new innovation in hair care, that might be a $15 billion market. Those market sizes are different. Your chances or your opportunity to become a $1 billion business, it's going to be different depending on the size of the market. Maybe about the team. You know, it might have one team's got, you know, successful founders who have already done some stuff before versus first-time founders. Well, those first-time founders might have a lot of experience and deep knowledge in their industry versus the experienced entrepreneurs who have no experience in that particular industry, but, you know, they know how to do a startup. Right now, I got to go through all these different nuances and pieces to figure out which is the right company for me to invest in. And I might be getting close to getting to an answer of which one of these companies I'm going to invest in. And then like the day before I decide I make my decision, I got another company hit me up. It was like, Mac, we're doing 150,000 monthly revenue. What's popping? Well, now I got to go back to the drawing board, right? But that's like real, right? And so founders always try to optimize for fundraising early on, especially first-time founders. You just optimize, like, I need this money so I can take the time to go to work and do all these other things. You're optimizing for the wrong thing. You should be optimizing for creating the best business you can. Because if you got a good business, right, the money's going to come eventually. And so like at Rare Breed, we're generalists. Like I invest in any and everybody. That's because like I don't care about necessarily what vertical you're in or any of that stuff. I care about 4 basic things. Are you in a large enough market? Are you solving a real problem? Are people willing to pay for your solution? And do they love you so much they keep coming back? If you tell me those 4 basic things, we can be at a position where we might be able to do something, right? Like that's the basics of business. It doesn't matter what kind of business you're doing. It comes down to those 4 fundamental basics for me. When you're talking about, you know, raising money for your company, right? And so, but I will tell you now, when you're thinking about raising capital, the thing that becomes the most important for like VCs or professional investors like me, not necessarily angel investors. Angel investors are individuals. They make investments for whatever reason. They might just think your shirt's dope and want to write you a check. Like they can do whatever. It's their money, right? But when you talk to somebody like me, one of the most important things, and this is probably the one proxy that we can point to with data to show what chance you have to being a unicorn, is early growth and growth rate. How fast are you growing? How much are you growing by week over week, month over month? Like, if you can show me that number, like the percentage you're growing by week over week and month over month is popping, you're going to be in a good place. And the last thing I will say, because I know my time is up, and somebody else got to get a chance to speak, and I'm just running my mouth at this point, is understand market timing and market dynamics. We just threw it through 3 years of everybody raising money, all kind of willy-nilly and crazy with high valuations. Didn't mean that raising money was easier. It just meant there was a lot of money out there to be raised. And we saw a lot of crazy things. Well, everybody done seen what happened to gas prices, right? Gas prices getting kind of crazy. Interest rates are going up. Historically, when gas prices go up, that means a recession's right around the corner. When recession's right around the corner, that means in venture, everybody gets real tight with their pockets. So y'all about to see like valuations come back down to earth. Y'all gonna see the dollar amounts people raising about to change. Like, yo, that front page of TechCrunch a year from now gonna be looking a whole different, right? So when it comes down to that and people aren't raising all willy-nilly and stuff like that, then you got to focus on your business. If you got a good business with good fundamentals, the money's going to come eventually. It might not come right in the moment you want it. It might take you a little bit longer. You got to go through the grind of it. But if you focus on the business, getting customers or getting revenues is what's going to get you paid, either through cash out the door or in funding. So if you focus on that piece, you good. And when you talk about what traction you want to see at pre-seed, I want everybody to get this together, right? When y'all say pre-seed and we say early, right? Y'all want to say all these investors say y'all invest out there like as early as possible. So if you invest in early as possible, y'all say y'all do pre-product, pre-revenue, but when I talk to y'all, y'all always thought y'all want traction. Like, what's that mean, Mac? Like, that's confusing. All right, this will be my last point, right? So here's the thing. Yes, we do invest pre-product and pre-revenue with no traction, but those are exceptions. So all the investors you see who say that, they'll do that sometimes, but that ain't really what they do. That's not really what we do. When we invest in companies, I don't care what stage you at, more often than not, we gonna want to see that you know how to get customers, because traction is a proxy for your ability to execute. Just because you got a good idea don't mean nothing. I've seen plenty of great ideas and great products fail. Like it's nothing. Never get off the ground because they never figured out how to execute on the piece about getting customers. So traction is always a proxy for execution. The reason why we say that on our websites or we talk about it when we go to events is to cover exceptions. So at Rare Breed, we've invested in like 38 companies at this point over the last year and a half. Of that, maybe 4 of them were pre-product, pre-revenue when we made the investment, but all of those were extreme circumstances. The other 34 companies we invested in were all making money before we got it, right? And it's not always a lot of money, right? Like traction come in different forms. So we invested in a company called Verde Ag. They do precision irrigation, company out of Canada, right? When we met them, they were doing like $2,500 a month, right? Nothing. But you know who their first 2 beta customers were? The largest wine company in Canada and the largest wine company in the world. So if they were able to just land one of those for a long time contract, that company was going to be just fine, right? And so, that was interesting for us, right? Even though they weren't doing a lot of money, they had some really interesting customers that we use for traction, right? So it's not always dollar amounts. Sometimes it's customer or number of customers or size of customers, like those things happen. But I've been running my mouth a whole lot. I need to get off stage and let somebody else talk. Love y'all.
No, it's all good. Thank you, Mac. We are truly grateful for you, man. Gems after gems, as always. Mac, the OG. We got a couple questions for you, my man. First, I think Krista had a question. Krista Fairchild. We'll take a couple of questions only. Krista Fairchild, would you actually like to come off of mute and tell us a bit more about your question?
Okay, so I started a business about a year ago because now it's time for the yearly report. And unfortunately, I have no idea what's going on. I don't know what a yearly report is. It was an LLC that I started, and I had a good business at the time. It was a lawn care business, and I had customers that were reoccurring every year. They'll call me and say, "Hey, are you guys back at it?" and everything. But I started with my ex-boyfriend and they didn't want us apart. They only wanted us together. And because we are not together anymore, it's like the customers didn't want one without the other. But when I did have some customers that did want to continue with me because of my personality, that's one thing that does grab a lot of my the crew that I hired pulled up the flowers. Pretty much they just didn't work. It's hard to find good work. And I have opportunity right now. I have an opportunity right now where I can have a large contract through PG County, and it's like I can go and grab it, but I don't have the crew. And again, this yearly report that just came up, they're telling me if I don't do something with it, the state's going to find me and so on and so forth. So I'm really worried about what to do. I don't know what to do at this point.
Hey, Krista, I'm about to send you my email address. Email me and we'll talk offline. One of my good friends is works at Harbor Bank, a Black-owned bank here in Baltimore. They may be able to help you get some creative financing so that you can get a crew if you can get that contract, right? They may be, if you can put the contract on the table, they may be able to back that. That's not normally the kind of stuff that I do, but you know, shoot me an email and I'll try to make something happen for you. Okay.
Just FYI, my background is I have about 15 different business licenses underneath my name with those get rich quick companies. I've always been, you know, topping those companies. But I just, a lot of stuff happens and I don't fall through, but I'll take your email
I might
down.
need to go on mute,
Yeah,
y'all.
can somebody go on
Original.
mute, please?
Donut.
Who's going
But
on
I'll
mute?
go ahead
Make an
and
order,
take your
we can hear it.
email down.
All right, Chris. We'll talk. We'll talk.
Okay, okay.
Awesome, thank you, Mac. And we have
There you
enough time for one more question, then we might be able to circle back. Julius, I had a question. Can you hop off me really quick, Julius, and give us your question?
What's going on, Julius? The homie.
Hey, long time. So I'm at the train station, so apologies, but you went the 50C6C route, and
Yeah.
so just wanted to, your thought
Hey,
process
you
around
just give
that
me-
and what that
You
allows
got
you
it
to
now.
do.
I'm gonna need everybody mute because somebody making an order.
Whoever is ordering, please mute, for real. Or for the actual staff, can you guys scan it really quick and see who's off?
Whoever the host is gonna have to mute everybody real quick.
Yeah, all right, we're good now, thanks.
Yeah. So Julius asked me about, so when I raised my fund, I raised under a designation called 506C. Most funds and most startups raise under a designation of 506B. 506B means you are not allowed to publicly solicit your companies. I mean, you can't talk about fundraising publicly, but you can have up to 30 unaccredited investors invest in your companies. That means 30 people can invest in your company who aren't accredited, who don't have to meet any kind of accreditation, right? I went the 506C route, which startups can use as well. This is not only for venture funds, startups can use this as well. And this comes out of the Jobs Act in 2013, which is something that has been underutilized. And so under 506C, it means you can publicly talk about fundraising and the SEC will not come after you. You can go on Twitter, you can go on Facebook, you can be on TikTok and tell everybody you raising money for your company. The catch is every investor who invests in your company after that point must be accredited, right? And so what does it mean to be an accredited investor? It's basically one of two basic, there's some nuances to it, but the two most basic things are you have to have $1 million in net worth, not including your personal residence, right? Or you had to make more than $200,000 a year each year of the last 2 years based off of your tax returns. If you're doing it as a couple and the group and the couple is married, then they would have to make more than $300,000 each of the last 2 years together, or I think it's like more than 1.5 million in assets, something to that effect, right? Like as long as somebody meets those thresholds, they are then considered an accredited investor and can make an investment in your company. And so because I was raising for a venture fund and raising, a $10 million fund, I knew all of my investors were going to be accredited, right? And so I then was able to talk about my fundraising on Twitter, which is how I was able to raise my fund on Twitter. So 80% of the people who invested in my fund came from a connection I made on Twitter. It's probably higher than 80% at this point, right? And that's the 506C. Now, things to watch out for if you do want to go that route. Watch out for lawyers who try to charge you more for it. Like there ain't much difference between doing a 506C and a 506B. The problem is most people haven't done 506Cs yet. So a lot of lawyers will try to charge you more because they're going to tell you is all this unique. It ain't nothing unique or special about it, right? All it is that when somebody goes to invest in your company, they have to do an additional KYC or know your customer process to certify that they are accredited. It can't just be a questionnaire. It's got to be something a little bit deeper than a questionnaire to certify that they're accredited. That's the only thing that's different, right? So anybody's trying to charge you more, like, yes, if you need to go through an additional third party to do that KYC process, that may be an additional fee, but it ain't no additional legal fee. It's actually simpler from a legal standpoint, honestly, right? So watch out for stuff like that. So yeah, that's what the 506C thing is. And remember, like, that's not just for venture funds, it's also for startups. So you as a founder can use that as well.
Thank you, Matt. Definitely gems after gems. We definitely appreciate you. You are the man. Next, we will hand it over to our next team generator, and we'll actually pass it over to Clay so that he can introduce our team.
Hey everyone, for interest of time, I'm just going to speed this right along and move over to introduction to our wonderful and terrific speaker. Her name is Haley Kendrick. She is a Bronze Valley Accelerator Director with Generator, a nationally ranked accelerator program. Haley is passionate about equitable economic development and building public-private partnerships in Birmingham's technology sector. Before joining Generator, she led teams responsible for training over 700 local aspiring tech professionals with in-demand skills to meet regional employer demand, executive director of Innovate Birmingham. Prior to Innovate Birmingham, she served as a research fellow in the University of Alabama at Birmingham UAB Center for Outcomes and Effective Research and Education. Haley earned an MA in sociology from UAB in 2015 and a PhD in medical sociology at UAB in 2018. Last but not least, I want to say welcome to Haley Kendrick.
And also, I will have Joe introduce Precious Drew as well, and they'll tag team our next section. I think
I'm
Joe's
sorry. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, so I'm introducing Precious Drew. She graduated from the College of St. Benedict, where she received her bachelor's in global business. I'm so sorry. Her bachelor's in global business with a focus on entrepreneurship. As a student, she experienced the thrill of turning an idea into a revenue generating business after launching Perk, the natural beauty lab, through the Donald McNeely Center for Entrepreneurship. Through the program, she traveled across Silicon Valley, China, Hong Kong, and Vietnam, meeting and learning from global entrepreneurs. In her current role, Precious serves as a managing director of the Northwestern Mutual Bank Founder Accelerator, powered by Generator, where she invests in Black-founded startups in fintech, insurtech, and digital health across the country. The Milwaukee-based accelerator represents Precious' second role as Generator. Prior to joining Generator, Precious spent time at the state of Minnesota, city of Minneapolis, and Minneapolis public schools. Through these experiences, she discovered a passion for bringing out the entrepreneurial mindset in everyone. And I welcome Precious Drew.
Awesome. Thank y'all so much. Well, it's great to be here, and really, it's impossible to follow Mac. So I don't know why they didn't let us go first, but that's okay. I think I was one of the 1,000, however many people that met Mac through Twitter in the fall of 2020. So it's always fun to connect there. And Precious has so much deep knowledge in this space. I'm going to quickly introduce Generator and what we do and pass it off to her. One thing I'll add is in all of the markets that we're in as Generator, we have a local partner that we work with. In the case of the program I run out of Birmingham, Alabama, our partner is Bronze Valley, which is an early stage venture fund focused on founders in underrepresented markets, so outside the Bay Area and New York, and founders from backgrounds that have been historically excluded from access to capital. So we're primarily investing in Black founders and or female founders. And we've been doing that for about 3 years now. And just, I'm over here amening everything Mac was saying from the Bronze Valley perspective. So happy to share that perspective as well. But I'm going to share my screen and run through a couple introduction notes about Generator, and really we'll dive into what it looks like to utilize an accelerator to access capital for your startup. So there's of course the VC route, and then accelerators can also be a great source, as well as grants and competitions and all sort of other things. But let me see if I can use my computer. So you've heard a little bit about Precious and I. We'll dig in more as we go. But Generator as a company, really, we do a lot of different things that you'll see, but it's centered around this central mission, which is to be the best partner for a community to invest in our best and brightest. And we do that in a couple different ways. Our investment accelerator, which is what we'll talk more about today, we have several different types of those with different brands. Northwestern Mutual Black Founders Accelerator, one of them which Precious leads. But that's kind of the core of our work that involves investing in companies. We also have free accelerators, which include G Alpha and G Beta. Those are the programs that are part of the Bronze Valley Accelerator, which I have been running. And then we have a number of other things, which I'll skip over today for sake of time, but other ways that we're supporting communities in supporting their best and brightest. We've done that in a lot of different places. You can see this is really focused on the middle of America, those places that may be under-resourced with capital. And other than being focused on equity by place, we're also very focused on equity by race and gender. And we make our metrics available online to keep ourselves accountable and open it up for others to keep us accountable. And you can see some of our performance there, which we're proud of, but also have some aggressive goals to improve those to be more representative of our country. And we have a ton of partners. That's the summary of this slide, that we work with a lot of folks across the country, investing alongside them, partnering with them, and really delivering on these goals that we have. We've worked in a lot of communities and invested in or worked with, as part of a non-investment accelerator, over 800 companies, 800 startups. And many of those are in the middle of the country, the vast majority, I think 96%, outside of the Bay Area or New York or Boston, where most capital is centralized, and 42% founders of color and 41% female founders. So thinking about those investment-based accelerators, those accelerators that come with some cash to you, that's what we're going to dive into more. And Precious is going to talk about what that looks like. Of the programs that we run, Precious may know better than me. I can't even keep count because we keep launching new ones all the time, but we have a couple that are industry agnostic, will admit, any type of company, and then a few that are industry specific. You can see here we have sustainability, cybersecurity, we have a few ag tech, we have education and workforce, and Precious mentioned fintech and intratech, some of the areas that the Northwestern Mutual program focuses on. With each of these programs, some have some nuances, so I'll have that caveat that they're not all exactly the same, but this tends to be the case of what our accelerators look like. An investment of $100,000, an introduction to a ton of mentors over the course of the program, usually about 100 or more, one-on-one coaching and meetings with the director, and similar introductions to investors and opportunities to share your company at either a showcase or premiere night, something of that nature, sometimes multiple, and ongoing support that our directors in our community, I tell our teams that you never get rid of me. We're always checking in, seeing how we can support and wanting to hear from you all. So with that, I'll pass it to Precious. She sees so many companies all the time and is really thinking a lot about like what makes them stand out, and she can tell you more about what can make you stand out when applying for an accelerator.
Thanks for the introduction, Haley. And of course, following up from Mac, he's definitely been a great resource to Generator as a whole and the Northwestern Mutual Black Founder Accelerator as well. So excited to be on a panel alongside you. Just hopping into things that you should think about when you're applying for an accelerator program. Haley, feel free to advance the slide. There we are. So a thing to remember as you're applying to accelerators is that we are essentially investors. This means that we're evaluating your application on an investment decision. So for an early stage company, we say that there are, 3 high emphasis on these 3 main areas here: team, idea, and market opportunity. When we say team, is it complete? So if there's a technical component of the company, there should be a person on the team who can actually build it, or you should have a plan to get them in place once the accelerator invests. When we're talking idea and traction, can you prove that someone wants what you're building? Showing revenue of $10 is better than showing revenue of $0. So that's just one point of traction that we look at. There's other ways to also show traction, but revenue is often the greatest signal. And then the market opportunity, is the market opportunity big enough to justify venture capital, essentially? And then when you're thinking about applying to an accelerator program, there's companies at different stages in the life cycle. There are a few things that you should keep in mind when considering whether you're ready to apply for an accelerator. First and foremost, are you ready to grow fast? It's in the name. We're here to help you grow fast and focus on getting to, as Mac had mentioned, that week over week growth and month over month growth, ideally getting you to 20% month over month growth. Secondly, be prepared to go all in. Equity accelerators want you to be working on your startup full time. We're first and foremost investing in you as a founder. So doing everything that you can do to make sure that we're getting our return on investment, which means committing full time to the company. And then a point that was mentioned earlier, although some accelerators like generators may take a company at an idea stage, and was stated earlier, that is an exception and not the rule. You want to get into an accelerator at the right moment when you've gotten some traction so that you can really leverage the accelerator's network to get useful connections and grow traction during our program, our 12-week time period. And of course, we support you all beyond that as well. So when you're looking at the process, really step one is research. We decide to apply for an accelerator program. You should look at the reputation of accelerators when the application is due, what they focus on with an accelerator. As Haley mentioned, we have some agnostic accelerators, and we also have accelerators that are for specific industries as well. As it relates to the Northwestern Mutual Black Founder Accelerator, we invest in fintech, insurtech, digital health, and data analytics. Here we listed a few places that you can begin to look for accelerator programs. The Global Accelerator Network is a great resource, for example, for finding out, what are some of those top accelerators in the country, along with Seed Accelerator Rankings, Project F Success, and then also a few different other databases such as AngelList. And I think one of the greatest things as far as research goes is really doing reference checks with alumni. A company or an accelerator can rave about their program as much as they want because they think it's great, but getting the founder's perspective of folks who have gone through the program is also super important. And I definitely encourage you all to do that as you're thinking about accelerator programs. On that research, you also want to know the terms. You want to, understand if there are fees that comes with the accelerator program, and then also look at, is it an equity for service accelerator as well? We go back and forth on, whether we say yay or nay to accelerators that require fees. At Generator, it's 100% free. We don't require fees, but there's an equity take when we talk about the investment accelerators as well. Looking at step two in the process really is about engaging with the accelerator program. So once you narrowed it down to an accelerator program that you want to apply to, the next step is to start engaging with us. Oftentimes, the accelerators want to get a chance to meet applicants even prior to the deadline. And if it's anything like Generator, we have office hours on our websites where our founders who are interested in our programs can meet with anyone across the country to learn about our various programs and get more insights into the inner workings of the various programs and what resources might be available to you all as well. At Generator, we have a lot of different programs that can be intimidating, but if you meet with any of us during office hours, we can definitely point you to the right program based on the information you give us and figure out what's best for you. Outside of office hours, if a company or accelerator doesn't have them listed, look at what meetups they have planned, what community events they have planned, and then also reach out via email and LinkedIn. You'd be shocked how many people are willing and ready to meet with founders, even if it's for a quick 15-minute chat. we just wanted to highlight some of the data from the Global Accelerator Network, aka GAN, that we mentioned earlier. So these numbers are an average percent of startup applications accepted per source. So it won't add up to 100% if you're doing the math here. But the point of this slide is to say that many of the accepted applications into the accelerator programs come from those who were recruited by the accelerator, whether that be through office hours or we send out a lot of emails. We reach out to other pre-seed VCs, for example, to see who's in their portfolio that could also utilize an accelerator as well. So a lot of it is direct recruitment from the accelerator, but the more you can get in front of accelerator and do office hours and things of that sort, the greater your chances are of getting into the program. So you've gotten through the research phase. Next, you're applying. You want to definitely introduce yourself to the program manager or the managing director, and then apply for the program. Typically, you can find the applications on these various resources, whether it's an external site or their internal accelerator website. And then also be sure that after you complete the application, you want to reach out again, as many touch bases as possible without being obnoxious is a positive signal, because we do remember, those that we meet with before the application close as we get through the review cycle, and maybe something isn't on your application, but we now have insight into that because we met with you during office hours. So sometimes it's best to also meet with us as well. And then even after application is sent, make sure that you're following up, as I said, especially if there's a long gap between the time that the application closes and when decisions are being made. Sometimes it can be a month or a few months that's between those two timelines. And you want to also put those you're connecting with on your email updates list, so that we see what progress you're making over a given amount of time as well. And as I said, be persistent, but not obnoxious. I think, you can all use your emotional intelligence to figure out what the good balance is for that. After that, you're looking at the interview. You've applied, you've went through the research, you have a better understanding for, what you expect in the program. Obviously for an interview, just as if you're applying for a job, you want to be on time and be prepared. Bringing your deck, business cards, executive summaries, and anything that could help decision makers understand your business a little bit better. And then after that as well, you also want to think about whether you should do the interview in person versus virtual if those two options are offered. We always say if it's in person or if there's an in-person option, go ahead and really shoot to do the in-person interview. There's a lot that we learn from being together in person that we can't necessarily gauge behind the screen, as well as I'm sure you've learned after 2 or 3 years being virtual and living the life on Zoom. So keep that in mind. And then finally, we're looking at the decision. Once you're interviewing with an accelerator, don't negotiate the salary before getting the job. Essentially, oftentimes when you're looking at an accelerator, we're all making investments in exchange for equity, and we're typically doing the same deal across all of the companies that we admit, regardless of the traction that the company has. And before you get an offer, you don't have a ton of leverage to negotiate either, just like if you're applying for a job. And frankly, it's kind of annoying to interviewers as well. You have a lot more leverage once you get an acceptance to a program to, start discussing terms and things of that sort. And then if you're accepted into the program, I'll touch more on it in the next slide. But also if you're rejected, remember that accelerators are oftentimes running multiple times a year, or they're running another program the next year. Ask for feedback, figure out what it is you can do better to be a stronger applicant next time, and reapply. And then for those who are accepted, make sure you're really immersing yourself in the experience. I would say dive in by relocating to the city if it's offered, that the accelerator is based out of, and remember that you get out what you put in, essentially. this is really an opportunity to expand your network. So, make the most of it while you have the opportunity. Again, you can meet with people all day virtually. If there's something about being in the same city, in the same environment, you may maybe bumping into people, having a quick coffee chat, that you really get to understand the local environment and the local community and ecosystem better as well. You never know what that ecosystem can connect you to in the greater realm of the industry. A couple of things that we say are stupid, air quotes, stupid questions. Am I too far along? 9 times out of 10, absolutely not. Typically, companies that are asking this are pre-revenue, but from our experience, we've had companies who have made as much as $30,000 in monthly recurring revenue. Take our standard deal. Last year, I had a company that was already making $1.5 million annually accept our deal and go through the program as well. So 9 times out of 10, you're not too early. And then, do I have to move to X city? With COVID, this has been back and forth, hybrid, in person, not in person. Just do your research and understand it as you're applying as well. And then, is the expectation 40 hours a week? No, you should be working on your startup more than 40 hours a week. Our job is to really help you work on your company as you're working in your company. So the accelerator isn't meant to distract you from the day-to-day operations that need to happen to keep your company going overall. And finally, if you didn't get in, it's fine. Apply again and apply again. It really is a numbers game. Getting into an equity accelerator is not easy. And I just want to break down what it really looks like. When you look at the Global Accelerator Network, they received 35,000 applications and the acceptance rate was 3.8%. You do the math there, it's a very small amount of that 35,000. And then when we look at it specifically for Generator, just taking our 2019 program into consideration here, we had 1,000 applications and we accepted 5. That's less than 1%. So oftentimes we have to reject companies that are great, not because they wouldn't be a good investment. It's just we can only make so many investments at once. And ultimately, I think the takeaway here is that, as I said, shots on goal and applying. Oftentimes we see our startups apply several times before they're accepted, and don't get discouraged and give up, because oftentimes an accelerator is a great way to get follow-on investing from other investors down the line as well. And I know that was a lot of information, but I dropped our office hours as well as our link to all of our accelerators here. If you want to meet with Haley, myself, or anyone else from the team, feel free to reach out to us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Haley. Thank you so much, Precious. Such a lot of great insight. If you had no idea what accelerator was coming into here, you definitely should have an idea. A lot of amazing insight. That's such a knowledgeable portion. So we definitely are grateful for you guys. Let us open up with a couple of quick questions. I saw we had one in the chat already, and it said, as an accelerator, do you have a minimum or maximum of companies you can invest in per year?
Yeah, I think Precious is short on time, so I'll jump in. Each accelerator varies. I would look at what their typical class size is. Some have very large classes. At Generator, we take 5 companies a cohort. So you saw that example she gave of 1,000. A company, 1,000 applicants and only admitted 5. We always only admit 5 in each program. That being said, we have, like I said, I lost count, 10 or more accelerators that invest in all of our programming. So, and some of those have more than one program a year. So just if that's just one program a year, that's at least 50 companies we're investing in a year. Some have 2, so that's more. So it just depends. But usually investment-based accelerator will have a set number that's pretty typical. So Techstars tends to do 10, some do somewhere in between. So I would just do your research on how many companies they typically invest in.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Haley. We have, if you don't mind, if we could take maybe one more question, and then we'll let everybody get out and enjoy the weather. One more question. Anyone else? I think I did get one directly. what are, I guess, if you can narrow it down to two main traits that you're looking for in a candidate, what would that be?
I think it's really along the same lines as everything Mac was sharing and Precious talked about through the interview. Traction, or kind of language we use a lot, is traction speaks louder than words. I think to Mac's point earlier is traction answers a lot of the questions that you may have of, does someone want this? Will they pay you for it? Is it a real problem? If they're paying you for it and you have that revenue, that answers a lot. So that aside, which I know is like the least satisfying answer, team is such a big component, and thinking of it as Bronze Valley, the two companies that we invested in that were pre-product, pre-revenue, it was the consistent factor across those investments where the teams were really outstanding. One had a former founder who had an exit, and just really compelling team around them. The other was one of the senior experts in her field in the entire industry, solving a problem that no one else was doing a lot of. So the team can say a lot, also something that may not be the most satisfying answer, but some of the softer things that Precious covered that are less of, something that you have to really be a unicorn to do, is to keep in touch and send updates. I've definitely accepted folks into our accelerator, and we've ended up making investments to some that weren't necessarily the most interesting market, a problem that was super compelling to me or anything else, but I knew that the founder was very coachable because they would meet with me every month at office hours and we'd work on something, and they would come back the next month and show me they had made progress. And so it wasn't so much any of the other things that tend to be what VCs say they're looking for, but the founder was very coachable above anything else. And in my approach, and ours is Bronze Valley, is this particular company this founder is working on may not be the one that is successful, but this founder is going to figure something out at some point. And when they do, we want to be the first call they make. And so being consistent, staying in touch, and delivering on what, you talk through with those folks from time to time at each touch point is, I think, one of the ways that anyone can do, regardless of kind of what traction you're able to demonstrate or what your background is.
Thank you so much, Haley. For the sake of time, I truly appreciate you guys. Shout out to Mac, shout out to Haley and Precious as well. Amazing session, super knowledgeable. I know a lot of gems were dropped, and I'm sure you guys have taken a lot of notes and answered a lot of questions. So truly grateful for you guys. Awesome session. And we did promise gift cards. We definitely promised some gift cards. So of course, our first gift card goes to Jessica. Jessica was the first person in today, aside from our main team and the guest speakers. So Jessica, if you could send Joel a direct message of your email, we'll definitely get your gift card over to you. And also, Krista, you asked the first question, so you get one as well. Can you send a direct message to Joel Bush of your email? Congratulations to you guys on our gift card winners. We do have to close. I know we're going over a bit, guys. I do want to drop one thing in the chat. This was an amazing session today. In the link in the chat, you'll get a link to our next session in May. As you know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so our session is Mind State and Grind Rate, how to manage your mental health as an entrepreneur, how to navigate burnout. As you know, as an entrepreneur, you have a different level of challenges. Your pay might not always be a standard. Your schedule might not be a standard. So awesome session. We got some awesome speakers for our next one on May 6th, 5 through to 6 p.m. So super excited. Please use the Zoom link now, and you guys can get on a start on that and register now. But other than that, I love everybody. Could have been anywhere in the world on this Friday, but you are here to get knowledge, insight from our amazing speakers. We truly appreciate you guys, and everybody have an amazing Friday. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you, guys. You guys were all amazing.
Thank you, guys.
I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.